I'll start with how the application boots, then routing, then the 3 big pages. I'll move file by file and call out their interesting lines. So the entry point is the index.js. So if you look at lines 9 through 26, that's the MUI theme. We picked the sage green as the primary brand color because the page shows a lot of status badge. Green for approved, amber for pending, red for rejected, and we needed an accent that wouldn't clash with any of them. Background is a warm cream off-white, so white cars float on top with a subtle shadow. So line 31 through 37 set up the provider order. We wrap the app in provider for Redux, browser router for routing, and theme provider for MUI in that order. Order matters because app needs all 3 contexts and they have to be set up before it renders. Now we goes to the app.jsx. It's a tiny but important. Line 12 through 14 are the root time session restore. On every page load, use effect runs once, calls get token to check local storage, and if a JWT exists, dispatches fetch current user. That hit API auth me, the server validates the token, and we get back the user object. After that page renders normally with user already logged in. This is what makes the app survive a browser refresh. Spec session 2D says the user should still be logged in after refresh. 919 renders the navbar. The navbar internally returns null if there's a no login user. So the login and the registration page don't show it. Line 9 through 14, we configure the store with 4 slices: auth, employee, onboarding, visa. Each slice owns its trunk, state, and selectors. No slice reaches into another slice state. Pages that need data from multiple slices use selector for each piece. Okay, routing. 28 line. The signature is on line 14, protected route, children, role. The role prop is optional. When present, it's either employee or HR. So line 17 through 19 pull 3 things from the auth slice: whether the user is authenticated, what their role is, and what the status the auth slices is in. Line 21 is subtle. If auth slice is in loading state and we don't yet have a user, we show a spinner instead of redirecting. This handles the gap between page load and response coming back. Without this guard, or on a refresh, you'd briefly see a login page flash before getting redirected to wherever you're going to. With it, you see a spinner instead. So line 23 through 25, if not authenticated, we navigate to login and we pass state form equals and local dot path name. That's how the login page later knows where to bounce the user back to where to bounce the user back to after a successful login. Yukun showed you that flow earlier. So line 27 through 29 wrong row, navigate home. This is what defeat direct URL access. Spec section good practice 1b says we had to handle direct URL navigation. Now it goes to here. All the rows gating in one piece. Line 22 and 23 are the public rows. You could see that. Login and registry, no guard. Line 26 through 31 are employee only, onboarding, personal info, visa status. Each is wrapped in protected route with role employee. Line 34 through 38 are HR only. Same pattern, role equals HR. Line 41 is a catch-all. Anything that doesn't match goes home. Now the navbar. Line 16 through 19 define the employee links, personal info, and visa status that the spec section for employees. Line 21 through 26 defines the HR links, home, employee profiles, visa status, hiring, spec section 2 for HR. Line 51 here. If no user is logged in, return null, so login registration pages have no navbar. Line 15.3 picks which list to render based on role, literally one ternary. The homepage is small. Okay, let's go to the homepage. Pages. So line 18 through 25. Okay. Yeah. The use effect that fetches the onboarding application status if the user is an employee. Line 27 through 31. Other redirect rule. If the user is an employee and their status is anything other than approved, navigate them to onboarding. HR users skips both effect and just see the home dashboard. Okay, now the three big pages. The spec gives us four states when the page has to handle. Never submitted, pending, reject, approved. They all use the same form, just with different permission and copy. Line 87, I believe. Line 87 here. Through 89 derive three booleans: is pending, is approved, and read only. Read only is just is pending, because pending is the only state that should be view only. Rejected and never submitted are both editable. So line 105 through 110 are the approved redirect. If the user navigates here after being approved, the use effect bounces them home. That's spec 3b4. So line 132 through 145 are the conditional status copy. Three ternaries, three different stories, one for each non-approved state. The badge color and the subtitle text both flip. So line 145 through 147 renders the red banner that shows HR's feedback when the application was rejected. Now the F1/OPT receipt branch. Line here. Line 122 through 124 use method.watch on the visa type field to listen for changes. When the user picks F1, is OPT flips to true. Line 181, 82. So through 188 conditionally render an extra document row for the OPT received. That's spec 3C2B. Now I want to switch to the backend for a moment because we hit a real bug here that was explaining. Okay, backend controller, onboard controller. Line 29 through 49. The clean citizenship function. The bug was when the user picks yes, I'm a citizen, they fill in the residency type, but don't fill in the visa fields. But the form's default values still send an empty work authorization object as part of the payload. Mongoose enum validator hates the empty string and rejects the save. So this function, if is citizen or PR is true, it strips the work authorization entirely. If is citizen or PR is false, it strips residency type and forces a real visa type. Empty option fields are normalized to undefined. By the time Mongoose sees the document, the irrelevant half is just gone. So back to the front end. So down at the bottom of the onboarding application page is document row. Line 252 through 323. 52. Yeah, it's just this part. It's a row component for each document type. So earlier in the file, line 36, I believe, line 36 through 66 here. Empty defaults and two form values. The latter takes the server's application document and turns it into a form values object that use form accepts. Notice lines 53 and 54. The visa start and end date are stripped down to the year, month, date format that the MUI state input in using. So we were gonna talk about the personal information page next. So line 26 through 32 define sections, the array that drives the entire layout. Each entry have an ID, a label, and a API section name, and a component. The order matches spec section 5B through 5F. Notice line 28. The name section gets true. That makes the name section component render not just the name field but also the email, SSN, date of birth, and gender, because spec 5B says all of those belongs to the name section. Line 30. The contact section gets phones only true, so it renders just cell and work phone, nothing else. Spec 5D. Line 35 through 43 are the field whitelist for each section. The black and mirrors this exactly line in employee controllers. Line I think is line 11 through 19 defense in depth. So now the edit state machine. Line 86 here. Editing is null when nothing is being edited, otherwise it's the section ID. Line 87. Confirm cancel. 86. Confirm cancel here. Controls the discard dialog. Line 124 through 128. Is actually discard method reset. I think it's here. We roll the form back to whatever's in the server's profile. No partial commits. Line 141 through 153 is saved. It only sends the fields belonging to that section via peak payload. Server returns the updated profile. We refill the slice, edit and edit mode shows the success alert. And here, line 222 through 230 are the dialog itself, a standard MUI dialog with 2 buttons. So visa status next, open front end here. I'm gonna open front end. The hardest design decision here. The server decides which step you are on, not the client. Even with handcrafted URLs, an employee can't skip ahead. So lines 15 through 20 define steps, pure data, 4 entries with key and label. The entire stepper UI iterates over this. Line 21 through 46 define copy. A map from step key to a submap of pending, approved, rejected copy. The text is lifted from spec 6BI through 6B1 through 6B4. So if the spec wording ever changes, this is the only file we touch. So line 56. Next step comes from the Redux selector, which got it from the server. We never computed on the client. So line 83 through 85, current copy. The ternary on line 85 handles a special case. If a step has never been uploaded, we treat it like pending, so the right banner text shows. Line 90 can upload. This is true only we are waiting on the employee, meaning the step is not uploaded or rejected. If the step is pending, we hide the upload button to prevent double submit. So line 107 through 122 renders the 4 pills. The current step gets an amber background. And down steps are green, future steps are gray. Line 142 through 149, special case for the I938 step. It shows two extra download buttons, empty template and sample template. Spec 6B31. Static PDFs in the front public directory. So line 162 through 180 are the history panel at the bottom. Iterate steps, skips anything that hasn't been uploaded yet. Render a row with preview and download it for each. Now switch to the backend briefly. Line 38 through 44, the next step instance method, it iterates the 4 steps keys in order and returns the first one when, whose status isn't approved. Returns null when all 4 are approved. This method is a single source of truth, both the controller when employee updates and the HR side visa list when HR views the dashboard. Call it to figure out what steps we are on. So we're gonna open the visa controller here. Line 43, 44 through 56. Upload the next document. This one. The server picks the step by calling visa.nextStep itself. The frontend doesn't tell us which step. So even if the frontend is hacked or someone crafted a malicious request, they can't skip past the previous step. So one last thing, the form section component. So here we have those forms. So reusable component were a hard requirement in the spec. The personal info, contact info. So every section use form context. Open name section, JSX. Line 8 pulls register and the form state from React hooks forms context. No forms state prompts are passed in. The parent page wraps everything in a form provider, and the section plunk what they need. The same patterns in address section, contact section, employment section, reference section, and emergency contact section. So name section lines 53 through 940 here. When visa identity is true, we render email, SSN, date of birth, and gender below the name field. So the same component covers both the lighter onboarding case and the fuller personal info case. Emergency contact. So open the emergency contact section, line 11, line 10, I believe. Line 10 through 14 use React hook forms use field array primitive. That's how we support a dynamic list of contacts. Line I think 24 through 29 gives each contact card an X button to remove when there's more than one. Line 71 through 75 renders the add emergency contact button at the bottom. It calls append. Spec section 3C 3C, I think it requires at least one, so which enforced both client side here and the server side in the schema. So that's the employee shell. Bundling section is up to next. She'll show you what HR does to push these forms through the approval workflow. That's everything from my side. Thank you.